Shalom and welcome to Israeli Salad. Today we are starting our program from the Jerusalem Israel Convention Center, Binyanei Oma,
and from the Fourth Orthodox General Assembly at the Renaissance Hotel in Jerusalem. Let's get started.
Shalom, as I said, today we are starting our program from Binyanei Oma, Jerusalem's International Convention Center, where the Global Jewish Student Leadership Summit is taking place. 1,000 Jewish student leaders from all over the world came together to meet in Jerusalem at this solidary summit with Israel.
This is the first annual Global Jewish Student Leadership Summit, which is an unprecedented gathering of 1,000 Jewish students from around the world.
It's really awesome. It's great to be amongst, over 1,000 students from 23 different countries.
The summit is organized by the Jewish Agency for Israel, the Office for Jerusalem and Diaspora Affairs, World Union of Jewish Students, Hillel, the Foundation for Jewish Campus Life, the Israel On Campus Coalition, the Israeli Foreign Ministry, and an array of other organizations. There are 3 goals to this gathering. First of all, the organizers want to give the student leaders the tools to respond to the challenges they will confront as Jewish students in the universities.
Learning how to be enthusiastic and passionate and how to deal with issues of anti-Semitism and such as like divestment campaigns that they deal with nowadays in universities and effectively counteract it.
In Mexico there is peace, but we have to explain, because if not, the problems will grow.
But basically everywhere, this issue of what is said in the campus media, what is said inside the university classrooms, what is said in the courtyard of the university is something which our leadership students need to respond to.
In these foreign communities, there are issues of poverty and Jewish welfare, of anti-Semitism, of assimilation.
Anti-Semitism, it's definitely, it's starting to show up in a big way in South Africa. So it's like interesting to hear people who have already dealt with it, to show us what to do and what to expect.
In addition, the program is also aimed at strengthening the Jewish identity of these student leaders before they return to their homes.
And what we hope to do also at this summit is to give these student leaders the tools to reach out, to involve new students, to reach out to families that are intermarried families where only one parent is Jewish. This is a growing phenomenon in the Jewish world. And to get them engaged in Jewish life and the connection with Israel. That's a very different kind of agenda.
Last but absolutely not least, the summit took place in the city of Jerusalem, the capital of Israel. The experience is aimed at strengthening the connection of these student leaders to the land and people of Israel.
What am I most looking forward to is meeting some Israelis.
And we are giving them also tools of how to tell others about why it's important to come to Israel.
And it's always strengthening. Every time I come back here, I've been here 4 or 5 times already. Every time I come back, I just love it even more.
What have you learned today?
I've learned, a little bit of Israel advocacy. I've learned about, Israeli culture, and we're preparing a little show for tonight's entertainment, and it's really fun.
As an added bonus to all of these lofty goals, the summit has proved to be a great place for young Jews to meet new friends from all around the globe.
Most importantly, though, is I think that we've found a lot of commonalities and friendships. My Spanish is getting better over the last couple of days.
It's been great. It's been unbelievable. I've never met an Argentinian Jew before now. It's been unbelievable, very informative.
It's nice that there's a very wide variety of students here. It's, just to gain a deeper understanding of where everybody's coming from, and basically to be enlightened, so to speak.
It's been a lot of fun, and I really hope to be able to keep in touch. And everyone here, the people from these other communities around the world, are so incredibly warm and friendly, and it's really nice that we're given the opportunity to get to know them and see a little bit of their culture.
We all come from very different backgrounds, but share a common goal, hopefully, Zionists that go to live in Israel.
Okay, that'll be all for now from Binyanei Uma. Back to you, Mark, in the Ramada Renaissance Hotel in Jerusalem. What's going on over there, Mark?
Thank you, Yoni. I'm at the Renaissance Hotel, as you said, in Jerusalem, where the 4th Orthodox General Assembly is taking place.
More than 250 rabbis and community members from around the world came to the assembly to address common issues affecting their communities. Among the speakers were Israel's 2 chief rabbis. Many of the participants came with the goal of obtaining information from their colleagues.
This is an opportunity to get and to hear a lot of opinions about the problems, about the complications, about all the things which are on our agenda as rabbis of communities.
People from really 40 countries coming together. I must emphasize that all these people, except 2, paid all their fare and everything, all the expenses to come to a gathering like this.
I'll first of all be able to meet my colleagues and people who have more experience than me, and to know what's going on in the Jewish world and what resources are available to communities.
And then we can go back to our communities with better tools to deal and to help and to be more helpful for our communities.
These leaders not only came to network, but also to meet and learn about Jewish communities around the world.
How many people are in your community, and what seems to be their main needs?
Okay, so we have in Prague 1,600 members in our community. I think that we have 2 main things that we have to create. First of all is Jewish identity. And I think it's very important for every Jew to create his special connection to his roots, to the Judaism, and after this to create his connection with Israel.
How big is the Jewish community in India, and what are some of the issues that they're facing today?
The community in India is 5,500 in a total population of 1.2 billion, which is the Indian population today, which is just a drop in the ocean. The Jews are there in India for the last 2,000 years, and the Jews have never experienced any sort of anti-Semitism because the Jews have lived in harmony and peace all throughout with their neighbors, the Muslims and the Christians and the Hindus.
We have a small community of 2,800 members in Amsterdam, and it's a living community with a lot of people who came from Amsterdam to Israel, and we are quite Zionistic and we like to visit Israel also.
The Jews are held in high respect in India. We have got 3 Jewish day schools where you'll be surprised, the only place in the world that Jews, Muslims, Christians and Hindus sit on the same bench while they're doing their school curriculum.
As you know, there's a lot of hitbollelut, a lot of assimilation in Holland, over 70%. It's very difficult in Amsterdam. There's a permissive society, a lot of things are allowed, like drugs and a lot of other things which are in the rest of the world not allowed. Makes the people feel free, and that's also in religious affairs. They feel free to do what they want, and this is very difficult to keep the community together.
I think that unfortunately we have to say that at a place that you don't have, when you don't have anti-Semitism, so the assimilation is higher.
Just on Shabbat Shuvah, just before Yom Kippur, our shul was burnt down. So the community is now in a crisis, not only without a shul, but we're also at a state where the number of people in the community is dwindling.
Each participant hopes to bring something back to help their community.
The main thing now is just working on the unity of the community, looking after all its members.
And we all look forward to love, tolerance and hope amongst the Jewish people to stand in unity.
From the 4th Orthodox General Assembly in Jerusalem,
and from the Global Jewish Student Leadership Summit in Jerusalem, that'll be all for now. We'll be back in the studio right after this.
You're far away from Israel, but did you know you could enter an Israeli mall? Israel NN Mall is the source for wonderful Israeli and Jewish gifts on the web. So check out our site at israelnnmall.com.
Welcome back. The fast of the 10th of Tevet falls on this Sunday, the 4th of January. The fast commemorates several tragic events in Jewish history. In addition to this, the fast has been declared as the day of the General Kaddish for the victims of the Holocaust. On the line with me now is Dr. Yaakov Lezovic from the Yad Vashem Institute. Shalom, Dr. Lezovic.
Good afternoon.
First of all, perhaps some of our viewers don't know, what is Yad Vashem?
Yad Vashem is Israel's national authority for commemoration of the Holocaust, which means that we are a museum and we are an education system and we have gigantic archives with all of the documentation that we can collect about the Holocaust, and it's a lot of other things that are connected to that. It's basically, we try and be the place where the Jewish people institutionally remembers the Holocaust.
I understand that you have a new internet-related project you're working on. What is this project?
Yeah, June 2004, so it's this year, we're going to put a database up on the internet that will have in it information on about 3 of the 6 million Jews, and from there we'll try and make it grow so it contains more than that. The database that we have built, and we're putting all sorts of we're polishing so all sorts of final stages on it so to make it representative enough to go up onto the internet. From our perspective, we're somewhere in the first quarter of the job because there is a lot of information in a lot of sources that we have yet to put into this database. We want to connect other types of information, pictures, photos, maps, testimonies, all sorts of other things that are connected to the same people. We want to put them into the database also.
Dr. Yaakov Lezovic from the Yad Vashem Institute, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You are watching Israel National News TV.
A few weeks ago, we read to you some of the Aliyah, immigration details. This week, let's take a look at the numbers regarding tourism. We now go over to Shlomo Blas at our newsroom with some good news regarding tourism to Israel. Shalom, Shlomo.
Shalom, Yoni.
So, what are the numbers?
Well, Yoni, according to details released by the Ministry of Tourism regarding tourists who arrived here on November 2003, there has been a rise of 74% in tourism coming from France and a 54% rise in tourism coming from the U.S., all this compared to last year's numbers. Approximately 944,000 people visited Israel from January until November 2003. That's 23% more than the corresponding period in 2002. I don't want to get our viewers tired with all these numbers, so let's sum it up by saying that we're seeing a very hopeful and significant increase in tourism. The industry of tourism is still going through hard times, but with Hashem's help, if things continue this way, the industry will be back on track in no time. So, back to you, Yoni.
Thanks, Shlomo. Keep on bringing us good news. As we mentioned before, on Sunday, the 10th of the month of Tevet, is the fast of Asara B'Tevet. This fast is also the memorial day for Holocaust victims, and the prayer of Kaddish is said in memory of those victims whose day of passing is unknown. I am joined now by Rabbi Samson from Jerusalem. Shalom, Rabbi Samson. First of all, what's the difference between this day and the Holocaust Memorial Day, which is observed after the festival of Pesach?
Shalom, Yoni. Shalom to all of our viewers. The idea of having the 10th of Tevet as the national day of mourning for all of those who don't know the day where their beloved have passed away during the Holocaust was initiated by the chief rabbinate because the national day in Nisan, on the 27th of Nisan, which is the day of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, is not really supposed to be for eulogizing and for commemorating the dead. The entire month of Nisan is a month that is designated in the symbol of Passover, happiness, joy, and it's not a month that you're even supposed to enter a graveyard. As a result, they thought that the month of Tevet and a fast day, the 10th of Tevet, would be much more fitting to commemorate this idea and this period. So the chief rabbinate decided that they would establish the 10th of Tevet as the official day of mourning for all of those who don't know what day they are supposed to say Kaddish for their beloved who passed away during the Holocaust.
And what other events are commemorated in this fast?
Yoni, it's an interesting question. We actually fast on the 10th of Tevet. The main reason is because a siege was waged against the city of Jerusalem. It's depicted specifically in the Tanakh, in the prophets, and the date is designated specifically. This is the day that Nebuchadnezzar began waging a siege against Jerusalem during the First Temple period. However, I remember in Yeshivat Merkaz Arav, when Rabbi Kook would come and give a speech on the eve of the 10th of Tevet, he would speak very minimally, briefly, about the tragedy of the First Temple falling at the hands of Nebuchadnezzar, and he would talk about something completely different, about how the Torah was translated from Hebrew into Greek also on this day, and this is another reason why we fast. Last week I mentioned how Greek is the language which the Torah is allowed to be translated, and you're even allowed to write a Torah scroll into Greek. And together with this, we find that one of the tragedies of the 10th of Tevet is that the Torah was translated into Greek. How can we understand? How can we resolve these two sources? Well, the answer is where the initiation is coming from. If we're initiating the translation, then that's great. And that if we are so strong and powerful, like when we came into Israel in the time of Joshua, we wrote the Torah in all 70 languages, then that's very healthy and that's fine. However, if when we are not waxing but rather waning, and the Gentiles force us to translate the Torah into their language, then this is a tragedy and it's something that we mourn over. I remember Rabbi Kook's words. He would scream and really with such fury, he would say, Nishama lo nitenet letransformatia. And it would mean that a soul cannot suffer transformation. Our soul cannot be transformed to anyone else, and you cannot take the Torah and transform it to any other nation. This is what Rabbi Kook saw fit to talk about on the 10th of Tevet.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Samson.
The Weekly Insight is brought to you in cooperation with Machon Meir, the largest Zionist institute in Israel, bringing people closer to Judaism.
Okay, that's all for this week. If you meet any of the rabbis or students who took part in the events we covered today, I hope the message they brought home with them from Israel will bring you a little closer to this country, because, after all, this is really your country as well. And don't forget to tell all your friends and family about our program so they too could join our growing Israel National News TV family of viewers. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to join us again next week. Until then, Shabbat Shalom and Shavua Tov. A great week to you all.